Welcome to the Command Report, your number one news report for the Washington Commanders.
The ramp up, with a specific plan. And today he came out and he looked pretty spry.
And, he had 1,000 yards last year, but was that quickness element something that maybe wasn't as there last year?
No, I think what it is more so for us, like I said, the one thing these guys have to understand is as you get aged in this league, your body changes and certain demands, come and I think now as he's getting older, this is his third year and that's still old in the NFL. You want him to understand how important it is to be in shape and stay in shape.
Ron, we saw Curtis doing side field stuff. What's his status? What's going on with Curtis?
Well, the real good thing with it is more so than anything else is this is all about the plan. We came out the first couple of days, got a chance to really look at him. I know he and Al talked a little bit, and there was some concern as far as just his overall football conditioning and shape. You can train all you want, you can condition all you want, but coming back and doing some of the things that we want him to do, we got to be smart with it. Al and his guys have a plan, and so with Curtis, we're going to stick to the plan.
The offensive line, obviously, Brandon Scherf leaving. You got Trey Turner. You got Norwell. I'm wondering what you expect out of that line in terms of kind of almost a collective trying to replace Brandon, and what do you think that unit can do?
Well, I think it's really about the sum of the five pieces, more so than it is anything else, and that's what it was for us last year. Don't get me wrong, Brandon's a great player, and it is hard to replace that caliber player. But again, it is a collective, and it is about the five guys.
Was that expected with Curtis that there would be?
I think more so than anything else, it was about seeing where he was when we got him back those first couple of days. And just listening to him, and in all honesty, him talking about his hamstrings and lower back being sore and tight. One of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we brought him back the right way. So they've put a plan together. They've sat down. They went over it with Curtis yesterday, and they're implementing it now. And what will happen is you'll see there'll be ramp-ups, and then they'll slow it back down. There'll be ramp-ups. There'll be times when he's interacting, getting some of the 11-on-11 work, stuff like that. But it's all part of the plan. With the ultimate goal is really the regular season more than it is anything else. This has nothing to do with last year's groin injury or anything like that. This is just about the plan for him specifically.
Brian Robinson, we've seen him. He seems to have good hands. It's obviously not something you saw live in college, but his ability to do that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the exciting things about a big guy like him out in space. You get on a one-on-one, you make a cut, and the next thing you know, you're into the second level. And now you got corners and smaller DBs having to tackle them. That's a pretty good matchup for us.
I know it's still early in camp, but just the quarterback play overall, where are you at with it? Are you comfortable with it? Is it?
Oh yeah, very much so. I mean, part of it is you got to understand what we got going on out there. Only one guy really has a lot of experience in what we do and how we do it. With Carson, with Sam, with Cole, it's about learning and understanding the concepts, learning and understanding the progression of your reads, and then decision making. So as we go through this, you feel good as long as you start seeing decisions being made the way they need to. And then when you listen in on the conversations they're having in the meetings, and you hear them, hey, why did you do this? I went from here to here to here, and that's why. And you feel good about those explanations. Or every now and then maybe go, oh no, you get off that once you read this and go right to here. Those are things that they're all learning right now.
And any update on Trey Turner and when he might return? Trey's
just, again, he a little bit of a quad, and so what we're trying to do is, bring him back, work him through it. He's a veteran guy, and it's one of those things you can't, you got to be very, very diligent on that with veteran guys.
What are you seeing out of some of those third and fourth safeties, guys like Derek Forrest, Percy Butler, your younger defensive backs?
Well, what you're seeing is a guy's grasping what we're doing quickly. It was a really good spring for our secondary, and they picked up right where they left off, and I'm very pleased with that.
Derek just called Kendall Fuller the playbook just for his intelligence. What about Kendall makes him somebody that younger guys can lean on so much?
Well, first of all, he's got a very good athletic football skill set, and that's a really good thing. Now you couple that with really being a smart football player, a very headsy guy that's got a tremendous amount of anticipation, and he's got a chance to make plays. He really does, and and he's having a really good camp right now.
With your guys' defense, you said a lot last year that the pressure kind of comes from the interior, but how much is more just needed from the edge in general, or is that just always going to be a product of?
Because if you're getting good edge, then the quarterback's got to step into the pocket, and if we're getting the push that we get, that's a huge plus. So it works together, it really does, and for us, what we got last year, getting as much as we did from the inside, in particular, Jonathan Duran, really giving that push. We've got to be able to clean it up on the outside, and having a healthy Montez and those other guys come into form and then getting chased back eventually, that could be a really good thing.
Is there something, a position group or anything you like to see when the pads come on that you feel like I'm going to get a better view of this now?
Well, we got a group of young safeties, a solid group of young linebackers that we have to really look into and try to have a very good feel within a week. And I think this will be a very important week for us as far as those group of guys are concerned. I mean, we're veteran in the fronts, offensive and defensive lines to a degree. We got a group of young tight ends that we have to see as well. Because again, we're trying to make sure we bring John Bates back at the right time as well.
And with the.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. You go. I just want to ask about.
Okay. Okay, with the pads, and obviously back in the day, there was more live hitting and live tackling and all that. So is it a little bit harder to fully learn what you want to see when in the current iteration of it?
It is, just because, you have to be smart. You don't want to get people hurt. And so you try to limit the high impact collisions.
Hey, Coach, I see that Ryan Kerrigan's here today. Did you guys work something out? It's nice to see him out here.
Well, what we've done, and Ryan came and specifically talked about wanting to see if coaching is something that's possibly in the future. And so he said, hey, look, let's put together a little bit of an idea, give you a couple weeks to kind of go through it, see what the grind is all about, see if it works for you. I told him one of the things that I did when I first retired. It took me about a year and a half before I decided I really wanted to get into coaching. And so, this is something that you jump straight from retirement into coaching. So he wanted to get a feel for it. We're going to give him, a couple of weeks, and then we'll reassess and reevaluate and see where he is.
Do you have any kind of title with you guys?
Not necessarily, not right now. I mean, this is still kind of the learning and understanding, but he is working specifically with the defensive line, specifically with the defensive ends. You see him put his arm around a couple of the young guys, talk with Montez about a couple of things. So it's good to see him interacting, and we'll see how he is in a couple of weeks. All right, thank you.
Coach, real quick, just getting more comfortable with the defense.
The secondary looks very comfortable, a lot of tip passes, interceptions. What do you think's been the key to that start to camp?
Just flying around, just being where the ball is. That's like what we want to do. We want to create turnovers for the offense. So just being out here and be able to fly around and be comfortable with the defense like that gives us that, extra gear, to play faster.
Kendall Fuller's a guy a lot of the DBs point to as someone who's very intelligent, helps them learn the system. What about him is so useful for the younger players?
He's just a real smart dude. Like, he's a real smart football player. So, like, a safety can come to him, a corner come to him, nickel come to him for anything, you know. So, like, him just being that versatile guy who knows everything, like, it's like a real, it's great to have him in the locker room.
Cameron has mentioned kind of him and Jack kind of almost trying to have a humbling approach to the defense, wants you guys to stay humble. I'm curious what you make of that, and if you guys do have that kind of humble approach going into the season.
Yeah, it's just working hard. Like, you know, being humble is just like staying locked in and trying to get better every day. You know, not being complacent where we at, because just trying to be that top 5 defense, and to do that, I always say you got to put the work in. You know, you got to pay the price to do that, so that's all we're trying to do.
Last year, there was high expectations after the defense ranked second in the league. I'm wondering if not having those expectations is good for this unit, to not have maybe expectations for yourself, but maybe not from the outside.
I mean, it gives us, like I said, it gives us another opportunity just to lock in, you know, like shut everybody else out and to come out here and work every day, because, like, that's what we got to do. You know, like I said, we got to just put the work in.
How'd you guys keep your camaraderie during the offseason?
We had certain guys like work out at the same place. Like, I had some of the rookies out in Texas with me working out with the same DB coach. But yeah, and then staying connected with each other. We all got each other numbers and stuff like that. So in the group chat, so just doing that, you know, just knowing as a defense and as a team, we got to really become close to get to that next level.
Is that weird? Like, time moves fast. Like, you're teaching some rookies how to work out.
Yeah, it is. It do move fast. You know, coming to my 3rd year, it feels kind of crazy.
Any workouts you particularly like, or you go out in the heat in Texas? What do you do?
Nah, we were just working out with flight skills. He's a DB coach out in Frisco. We were just working with him. He got some nice work. He got a few NFL guys working with him too. So, you know, it's just some nice work.
How different was it last year? Season ends, you don't get to go to the playoffs versus your rookie year. What was the difference in sort of the taste that was left in your mouth after missing the playoffs?
It was obviously a bad taste, but, like, it gives you the opportunity to know, like what you did wrong. You know, just knowing that you got to work harder. You know, you got to do something different than last year. You got to work just a little bit more harder than last year. So it just gives us another chance to be humble and put the work in.
Thanks, Cam.
Work my way into it.
It's a long way till the season, but did you buy into kind of the cautious approach to, because the hamstring was bothering you a bit, to kind of take it slow?
Definitely. That's not something you want to re-injure and then you back to square one. So follow coach's plan, the trainer's plan, and it's working out.
Billy? Sorry about that. What's different about your game this year? What are you hoping to add or show?
Just the confidence. It's year 3. Feel like I got the reps that I needed these past 2 years. I made the mistakes that I done made, and I learned from it. And, I just feel confident going in. I'm relaxed out there. I know what I'm doing, so it feels good. It feels real good.
How you feel about this offensive line? Like, a lot of change, but have you gotten to know them a little bit?
It feels good right now. You know, offense had their days, defense had their days. Today, defense had their day, and shout out to those boys. But we get pads on tomorrow, and we can really see how things go. And I'm ready for that.
Do you guys take that personal? Like, if the defense has a day, is that something you talk about? Or
for sure. It's nothing but competition in the locker room, on the field. So we got to hear it. We probably gonna have to hear it all day. So tomorrow we're gonna come out here and we're gonna get after them boys. For sure.
They're not quiet about it?
Not at all. Not at all. You could tell them running down the sideline.
Who's the loudest of that group, or the one that gets under your skin the most?
Man, if it was last year, we was gonna go with my guy Tim. This year so far, I'm gonna have to go with Sweat. Sweat right now being a little talkative.
We hear plenty from him.
Yeah.
What types of mistakes are you hoping to eliminate now that you've gotten those reps?
Just the miss holes. Sometimes, when I could have just, kept running straight, I kind of bounce out, and that's my big play mindset. But I've learned in the league, sometimes it's just good to hit it and run. And I feel like I've been correcting that. I've been practicing it here and OTAs and in the off season. So that's something I'm really looking forward to instead of, going east and west, getting north and south. And I feel like that'll help my game out a lot. And, those break tackles and them big plays.
That big play mindset, though, is obviously something that's special for you. Like, the balance of it, when do you know when to apply that versus 3 to 4 yards? Okay, let's get this, and then now I'm going to try and hit one.
You just got to be smart with it. Know the situation, down and distance, what quarter you in, if you're up or down, and things of that nature. And I feel like that's over the past 2 years I gotten a lot of that, and I feel comfortable about that going into the season. Pass pro, a lot. From my first game, kind of like not even knowing the protection for real, and then to actually get in the game and like seeing everybody run around, and then I had to learn about disguising. I'm confident, I could pick it up real quick now. I know when somebody's stacked, it might be coming and things of that nature, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the process, but I feel like I'm there, for sure.
What do you think your weight loss will do for the explosiveness in your game, and how will that kind of help?
Mostly just wanted to eliminate the injuries. I've been battling with that for 2 years. Nothing major, but enough to where it hold me back a little bit. This year my goal is to get through the season injury free, and that'd be my biggest goal right there, just to play a healthy season. I feel like that help out a lot. But the explosiveness, of course, if you're lighter, you're more tone fit, you get in and out of cuts quicker. You can go the distance.
Things happen, but after you lose all that weight and you're dealing with, I know it's minor, but just a hamstring injury to start camp, is that like discouraging, or how did you kind of approach that?
Not at all. I blame it on hydration. I blame that on my fault. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't, but it happens. I'm feeling good now, and looking forward to, the future.
Randy Jordan throws a lot of different drills at you guys every day. What do you make of all those?
Just be ready to adjust. He switch it up every now and then. He'll probably go see something and then throw it at us, but you got to be able to adjust and just take from it. You never know what'll happen in the game. It's all about reaction, and so those different drills help. It might not be that next week, or it might not be that week. Might be 4 weeks down in the line, but you can say we did it. And when it happens, you make that good cut or the good jump or whatever it is, you be like, I did that before. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you have any favorite drills?
I would say rolling on the ball. I like rolling on the ball, getting up, making the cuts, and then making the defender miss. That's one of my favorites, for sure.
Thank you.
All good. Appreciate y'all.
Out there today?
Well, probably the biggest thing, obviously, is the intensity gets ramped up, and just want to make sure that, as we ramp this intensity up, that we are doing things the right way. We don't want to lose our focus and our intent in terms of developing, learning, and growing just because we got the pads on. We got to play within ourselves. A lot of good things on tape that we're looking forward to watching as a coaching staff.
I assume the line play is probably a lot of fun to watch with that. What did you kind of see out there today with some of those guys?
Well, it's one of those things where, understanding how to practice when you're just in helmet and shells as opposed to helmet and pads is a much different thing. And usually it favors the D-line when you don't have pads on. Now you got pads on, it kind of evens up, and you're trying to really see the offensive line with some of their movements and being able to get some push, stuff like that. Whereas with the defense, it's about watching those guys, trying to make sure they're getting into their creases and holding their ground.
Hey, Ron, with James Smith-Williams not out there today, is that an injury or something else?
I'm sorry?
With James Smith-Williams not out there today, is that an injury or something else?
No, it's a hip, and we're just evaluating him.
And then how about John Bates? Stats on John Bates?
Oh, John Bates. John's working through his calf, and hopefully we'll have him back out soon.
Ron, there's been a lot of talk about Carson so far, but what have you seen from Taylor and Sam and the other quarterbacks?
Seeing growth. With Taylor, you see him. He's stronger this year. He's throwing a really good ball. He's getting even more and more comfortable in what we're doing. With Sam, it's just a matter of learning. Again, as he goes through it, understanding our scheme, our progressions in terms of the routes that are being run, and how to get to from one receiver to the other, stuff like that. So you're seeing growth from both these young guys.
On the defensive side, Montez Sweat's been as loud as anyone here at camp. Do you think he's coming with a different energy this year compared to the last 3 years?
Well, I just think he's comfortable in what we're doing. And with that comes confidence. So, again, I think he's in a good place and very happy with the work we're getting from Montez.
We're here. It's interesting sort of watching the back of the receiver room because a lot of those guys are also in the punt return mix. How do you kind of balance when you're watching them at receiver, whether it's Dax or Erickson, watching that and then noticing kind of what they do there? How do you kind of balance that as you're watching throughout camp?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you just separate that. You're looking for need on offense. but also in the back of your mind, you do know how important the punt catcher is. We feel good about both those guys, as we do a few other guys.
And you've talked about some of the younger back seven guys that you're trying to keep an eye on. Just for Percy Butler, what's been kind of standing out for him, and how about also a guy like Josh Drayden?
Well, we know with Percy, he's smart, very fast, very athletic. He's got a good sense about him. He understands the game. Josh is a very bright athlete. He's showing us some position flex, playing some nickel and corner for us.
Seems like you have a lot of guys vying for those last few spots. What have you seen out of guys like Jeremy Reeves and the rest of that group?
Well, the biggest thing you're looking for from Jeremy is just consistency, just being more consistent than he has his first couple of years. He's developing, he's growing. He's a guy that's getting opportunities. He's played every year that we've been here for us, and so we just want to continue to watch him and see if he's growing and developing. Those other young guys, again, same thing, just being consistent as football players. Percy's a good young player who's done some good things. Derek Forrest has done a nice job with his opportunities. It's a really good mix. It's a good young room of players.
Then with Jeremy, back in 2020, you made a big point about giving him a chance, how he had earned from the practice squad moving up. 2 years since, where do you think he's grown the most as a player?
I just think his overall knowledge and play of the game. A lot of times young guys come in and they're used to a specific scheme and the way you play it. With Jeremy, it's just a matter of learning and growing.
Not sure we've asked you about Jamin Davis yet in camp. How have you seen his progression, especially in a day like today with pads on?
Been very happy with it. You see a lot of good positive things from Jamin right now. He's much more comfortable in what we're doing and how we're doing it. He's picked up the way we do things in terms of reads and drops. Reading through his drops and understanding the concepts is really big, and he's done a nice job with that. So very pleased with that. As with Cole, Cole's done a nice job stepping into the Mike position from the start. Last year he was more of a Sam for us, a Will for us, and then when JB got injured, we moved him to Mike, and he really showed very well. Now's an opportunity to work on that skill set. He's done a very good job. When Mayo's gotten his opportunities, Dave's a big physical guy. Today was a good day for Dave. We did a lot of our big defensive stuff, and so he got an opportunity.
When you say Jamin looks more comfortable, is there something tangible you can point to? Is it just the way he's identifying what a run lane, how he's covering guys in the pass, or
that's basically it. Understanding the fits a lot better than he did last year, and again, as I said, understanding how to read the progressions of the route combinations in front of him.
Hey, Ron, sorry if you kind of answered this already, but with the Guardian caps on, first day of hitting sounded a lot different today.
Yep.
Were you pleased with kind of the pace and the enthusiasm at practice?
I thought the pace is what we're looking for. The guys understand how we want to practice. There's a feel that you have to have that what you're doing, you're helping your teammates get better, and what you're doing is hurting your teammates. So we got to be really smart about that and practice along that fine line. You want to develop at the same time. You don't want to hurt anybody.
Last one.
No more? Oh, one more.
Ron, to kind of build off the full pads practice today, just what can you really take away from a full pads practice? How much can you take away from a full pads practice?
A lot more in terms of the realism of the game, because when you don't have pads on, the O-line tends to catch a little bit more because, they can't deliver a blow because you don't want the big collision. So the D-line gets a little bit of an advantage. In this situation, because they're allowed to deliver the blow, you can see a little bit more as far as, who's getting the better angle, who's winning with leverage, who's getting push. And so that's really helpful for us as far as we're concerned. It also, I think it helps the linebackers a little bit more because it cleans up things for them as far as their quick reaction. And for the runners, they get a better sense for where the creases are, and you get to watch the guy make a really good or true cut.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys. Over here.
Just the difference between going up against these guys in the spring versus now.
Yeah, I feel like things have been going pretty well so far. Just trying to get better each and every day, Just being super blessed to be out here, be able to play the game of football in the NFL. Sometimes you got to take a step back and really realize what you're doing, and I'm doing that every single day. And just being grateful for being out here and being able to play with the guys. But as to from OTAs to training camp, it hasn't been too much different. Obviously, going into the season, the intensity goes up just a little bit more. But at the end of the day, it's just work.
where do you feel you've shown some growth even from the spring?
Yeah, I feel like in the playbook, obviously got to know what you're doing to be able to be out there and play. But I'm kind of getting the little details. Coaches being able to move me around now so I can play multiple spots. But yeah, just become more comfortable with the playbook, and then it enables me to play even faster.
So last week you guys had a couple rough days as an offense out there. It seemed like it was something you guys really took to heart and emphasized. Like, what were those discussions like?
Yeah, we obviously we're going against a great defense. A lot of guys on the opposite side of the ball who can make plays. So going out there every single period, we got to take seriously. We can't take it lightly because we know that those guys are going to come with everything. But getting back, going into the film room after every practice, realizing like it's just self-inflicted stuff, things that we can easily fix the next practice, and we want to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes twice. So kind of just learning each and every day, not making the same mistakes.
What have you learned about Carson so far? Just about the way he is, the way he likes things, anything like that?
Yeah, very laid back like myself, but a tremendous leader. He helps me in every phase that I need help with. He's been a great supporter and a great quarterback for me, a guy who's putting it on the money every single time I need it there or I'm getting targeted. So it's great to have him.
What has been the biggest adjustment for you, if there's been much of adjustment coming to this level?
Yeah, I would probably say the meetings. We have a lot of meetings in the NFL. It's kind of opposite from college, where as to college we have longer practices, shorter meetings. But here we have shorter practices, way longer meetings. So just getting adjusted to being in the meeting room all day and really honing in on studying the playbook.
Do you ever pick the brain of the other veteran receivers around you, just to, whether it's basic questions or just trying to get a feel for the offense?
Yeah, for sure. I'm constantly asking the guys in my room questions, and they're super helpful. Cam Sims, Curtis Samuel, Terry, De'Ami Brown, just asking those guys questions immediately because, they've been exactly through what I'm going through right now. They were all rookies at some point. They were all learning the offense. It was all new to them. So just learning the different ways that they learned it, how they picked it up, how fast they picked it up, and just learning from them.
What are some things that you've learned just from watching or being around Terry? You were out there with California, but what are some things that maybe you've picked up from him already?
Yeah, how he's a professional every single day. He comes out here every morning. He recovers. He comes out here ready to practice every single day, and he goes hard every single rep. And that's pretty much what you want in a teammate because he's going to leave it all on the line for you, so you want to do the exact same for him. So it's great playing alongside someone like him just because I know what he's going to bring every single day, and that's being a professional and playing his heart out, so I want to do the same for him.
Have you changed or added anything to what you do because of how he's approached things?
I wouldn't say I've changed much, I kind of see myself as being very professional. So I take my craft extremely. I don't take it lightly at all. So just obviously watching him and learning from him is great, picking up on things from him. But I take my craft very, very seriously.
And obviously you're going up against the defensive backs. I imagine it's different from college, and week to week you probably had a big advantage over some guys. What's it been like going up against these guys, and what have you kind of learned going up against professional defensive backs?
Yeah, it's been great work every single day. And I honestly credit that to my college years, going up against guys in practice like the Jaquan Briskers, the Tariq Asheville-Fields. Those guys are NFL corners, NFL safeties. So going up against those guys every single day in practice, and kind of translating it over here to going up against actual NFL guys like Kendall Fuller, William Jackson. It's just great work, and you're learning a lot from those guys. You see a lot of similarities because they're all great players, but they're going to make you work. They're going to bring the best out of you, and that's all you can ask for.
A lot of people, Carson included, have talked about your natural ability to catch the ball. Where do you think that comes from? Is that a skill that you've worked on over time, or you think you've always had that?
Yeah. I don't want to sound cocky or anything, but I feel like I've always been a pretty good pass catcher. As a little kid, I was always playing with footballs, basketball, stuff like that. I always had some type of sports ball in my hand. So I feel like that stemmed from being a little kid, just being heavily into sports. And then over the years, I just work on it constantly, because if you work on something, you can't get worse. You're only going to get better. So I feel like that's a great attribute of mine, and I only want to make it better. All good. Thank you, guys.
What's going to happen this year? I think we got a taste of that last year. I think in 2020 we were top 5 defense, and then didn't live up to the hype. So I think we got a slice of humble pie on that one. So I think that's what they're talking about.
Is that a good perspective to have going into the season, like that you guys almost have something to prove to get back to that level?
Absolutely, yeah. We're capable of doing it, so we know we can get there, and we got to put the work in.
We all kind of look forward to the pads coming on. How did you like getting out there today and having the pads on?
Yeah, no, it was fun. I was talking all morning. It's a good, that's when the real football starts. So I was super excited. I was maybe a little too excited, jumping the gun out there, lunging a little bit, but it felt good to get him back on.
What do you notice is the difference between you say real football, like having the pads on and not for you at linebacker? What's the difference in a situation like that?
Well, when you got pads on, like linemen it's a different type of a different feel, different type of fits. The linemen can grab a little more. There's definitely more contact, so it's like you got to be, on your P's and Q's with your fits, and you got to be, a little more violent with your, using your hands and thudding guys up.
Moving to the mic 1 week through training camp, how comfortable do you feel there?
No, I feel real comfortable. Played it a lot last year. Just trying to pick up where I left off from last year.
And or next to you, rather, there's David and both Jamin have been rotating in. What have you seen from both those guys and growth from last year to this year?
Yeah, Dave, solid vet, always knows what he's supposed to do, and then Jamin, he's progressing a lot. I think I'm proud of where Jamin's at. I'm happy where he's at, and I think he's giving me a lot of confidence. I don't have to worry about him. I don't have to think about him. He's out there. He knows what he's doing.
What do you of this defense? What makes you guys capable of being a great defense in terms of the personnel and the scheme and all that?
I think we got the talent, and then I think Del Rio does a good job of letting us not think too much and play fast. So I think that combination can allow us just to play to our abilities and play to our strengths, not to think too much and just go.
Speaking of that, like Ron has said that you guys didn't make a lot of changes, obviously, with the starting lineup, and he thinks continuity is the way to go to get you guys to improve off of last year. Do you kind of see that? Do you already kind of see how the continuity is helping you guys move forward?
Absolutely. I think there's, like you said, we have that. The relationship was already built last year between the guys, and now it's build on that and just get more and more consistent.
Hi, I was just wondering, with the Guardian caps that you guys have been wearing so far this training camp, what's your experience been like with that, and how have the guys kind of been adapting that?
They help us out. They protect our heads. It's the most important thing. So we're going to wear them as long as we have to.
I know at the end of last season you said you really wanted to be considered for the mic job. Why do you like that position so much?
I feel like being in the middle, taking control. It's I don't know. I think it's more fun. Like it's more of a challenge. It's more you have one more thing on your plate. Get everybody lined up. I like the chess match of it. I like taking control and being the one having to play that game with the quarterbacks and making the checks. I feel very capable of being able to do it. So I have a lot of confidence in it.
At what point did you really start to feel comfortable in that role?
Last year. Probably last year. Felt like I knew I could do it. Year before that, did it a couple times in a couple games. Really fell in love with it, and then I think last year really felt, solid in that spot.
One obvious difference at quarterback between what you had last year with Taylor and now with Carson, just the size of the two guys. As a guy who's in the middle watching the quarterback, what's the difference with a guy of Carson's size out there for what defenses are looking at?
Well, I mean, for defenses, when it's live, obviously we can't touch him out here, but when he's a big guy like that, he's hard to bring down. He keeps plays alive, and sometimes he'll use his legs to keep a play alive. So it's like you got to, on that back end, you might have to cover for a little bit longer. And then, he's always got that deep ball threat. He's got a cannon, so.
Hey, Matt. With Cole Turner, just kind of, what have you seen from him? And I guess the stuff you saw on film in the scouting process, how have you seen it kind of apply to maybe out here?
Well, I think the biggest thing as far as when you look at the offense tape, more so than anything else, is just his ability to be a good route runner, present a good target, and make some tough catches. The biggest thing that we really didn't see a lot of was him blocking. They were in that quote-unquote air raid offense. They just spread the field, and they're running all over the place. This is a little bit different. He's done a nice job in terms of learning to be physical, and he's really excelling at what he does for us.
And Carson kind of historically has thrown to a lot of tight ends. Do you see that connection kind of forming between them?
Oh, very much so. And, I can't wait till we get John Bates back out there. I can't wait till we get Logan back out there as well. I mean, the relationship he can have with that unit as a group, I mean, could be very good just because I like that group. It's a very versatile group of guys. Each guy has his own personality in terms of what they can do, and I think that's big for us.
Seemed like the offense had a good day. Did you feel that way, and if so, why?
I think across the board it was a good day for both sides of the ball. There were a lot of good things that happened in terms of development out there on the field. Offensively, probably the biggest thing that's changed, and it's funny, people don't realize it, but when you're in pads, it's a whole different mentality for the front, for the offensive line. They don't have to catch because they can now strike. Because again, when you don't have pads on, you've got to be smart about how you make contact and how little contact you should make. So it doesn't look good as far as the offense is concerned. But now things are balanced out, things are even, and now you can see really some of the good things that we're looking for as coaches.
Curtis back out there today. What did you see from him?
Okay, the biggest thing, again, just so everybody understands, I talked about this last time I was asked about Curtis. We're ramping Curtis up, we're ramping Curtis down. It's all about conditioning him to play football more so than anything else. And I think that's the biggest thing everybody has to understand is that this group of guys, Curtis, didn't play a lot last year. And what we've tried to do is we're just trying to ramp him up, get him into football shape, football conditioning, and then slow it back down, bring him back up. Our ideal plan for him is just to continue with that, get him ready to play the regular season. This has nothing to do with last year's injury. This is all about how we're going to maintain him to get him prepared and ready to go. It's the way we mapped it out, the way we planned it, and we'll continue to do that with him. It was good to see him. You saw some of his versatility out there as far as that was concerned, lining up in the slot, lining up as the X or the Z, and then motioning him across, putting him into the backfield. All those different things we can do with Curtis, that's his versatility, and that's what we really expect from him.
Do you have to put him on any sort of like a pitch count when you're out there as part of the ramping up or anything like that?
Not a pitch count, but it's about getting as much of the peak performance out of him as we can, okay, and then bring it back down and then condition him up again. So again, it's something that in talking with Al and talking with the doctor about the best way to handle his ramp ups, and we're just trying to do that. We're trying to be very mindful of it. Again, we know he's a valuable piece, and once we can get him into that shape, now you can cut him loose and let him go.
Jahan Dotson, obviously you guys liked him enough to pick him where you did and all that. What have you seen from him throughout this camp, just compared to what you saw last year and throughout the process?
Well, probably the biggest thing is he has a lot of versatility as far as position flex for us, playing all three of the wide receiver spots. The biggest thing that you do see is his situational football. He's very aware, especially when you watch some of the third down stuff, just that he understands. He understands the importance of depth of your route, understanding of where to put yourself to present that target, finding those windows of opportunity. I mean, he's been really good, and he's been a really good target for our quarterbacks.
I got a third one to follow up on that, so I apologize. With Jahan, he seems to play bigger than his size.
Yes.
How rare is that for a guy of his size, and why can he do that?
It is rare. I mean, you have to have special ability. Probably one of the really, really good guys at it. I was fortunate enough to watch Steve Smith. You know, I mean, that guy has got, you know, he played bigger than his size, and he played above the rim. And when you watch Jahan, he does play bigger than his size, which is great. I mean, you want people underestimating his ability because he has potential to make plays.
Day to day, how do you measure progress in training camp?
Watching the mistakes get limited, watching guys start, you could see guys starting to understand how the concepts work on both sides of the ball. You know, when we get together, we talk about how guys are progressing. You know, you don't want to hear how he's making the same mistakes. You know, you want to hear, hey, that's a great decision by the quarterback. Love where he threw the ball, threw it away from the leverage. I mean, those are things in terms of helping us to judge what's going on out there.
Has there been one particular place that you can kind of pinpoint that you've seen kind of, not maybe the most progression, but just kind of exactly what you're talking about, the lack of mistakes, the, you know, concentrations, all those things?
No, I think right now, you know, because it's still so early and we're still, you know, developing, it's been constant right now, which has been a good plus. You know, we really haven't had a day where I'll get into the team meeting and tell the guys I was truly disappointed. So that's, to me, that's important. I mean, when that happens, you know, you guys will hear me out there, but so far things are progressing.
We saw Drew White get carted off the field Tuesday. Do you have an update on him?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's an ACL tear. You know, he had this. It was one of those. You could almost term it as a non-contact. He had his leg planted, and he went to make a turn and pivot off of it, and his cleat stayed in the ground, unfortunately. So it's very unfortunate. You know, he'll go through the process with the doctors, and you know, the team will take care of all of his medical needs, and he'll be on IR.
What is the plan for kind of filling in depth there at linebacker with him?
Well, we're looking at a couple of options right now, and you know, we're actually very pleased with what we've seen from the young guys, and we'll continue to go through these things with you know, with the scouts right now, talking to Eric about, you know, what our plan is and what we're going to look at.
We heard you get after Daniel Wise a little bit for some post-whistle stuff. Montez Sweat, Kendall Fuller seemed to be a little fired up. Do you feel like maybe there's some teetering on that line that you wanted between your guys, or you think they're doing a good job of?
No, they're doing a great job. Just a couple things happen out there that, you know, and the reason I did was because we were working a certain phase of our game, and you know, when we're going through that, you know, it's basically no huddle, hurry up football. You know, not 2 minute, but just no huddle. And, you know, we're sitting there arguing about little things, you know, and the whistle gets blown and we're still screwing around. And we can't do that. We got to get our asses in position, and we got to play football. That's what I was pissed off about. You know, when the game gets hard, when there's pressure on you, you can't do that. You gotta maintain your focus and line up and play football. You got to get past those things, and that's why I was, you know, a little agitated about what went out there, because, you know, that's you can't get those real reps until you play a game. But, you know, this is as close as it's going to get. So if that's what the practice calls for, let's stay focused. Let's take care of our business, and let's go out there and do it. That's what happened.
Ron, can you speak on the defensive linemen, the depth behind our starters? What have you seen? Who suppressed you? What are you looking for behind those starting four?
Well, I was very happy with what we've got going out there right now. I do like the challenge of finding that fourth guy. You know, our first three are very sound. You know, even though Phil's still a young guy, you know, he's shown some flashes that show he belongs, and that's really a huge plus for us. But after that, Daniel Weiss has done a really nice job. He's a guy that's played for us. He's played some snaps for us. You know, we have a couple other guys that we're looking at, and these are all guys that, you know, as we go through it, we've got to watch them and see how they play when we get into the preseason games.
Coach, I want to take a little bit off of football for a second, but keeping in sports, just seizing moments. Your thoughts on the passing of Vince Scully? I mean, he did baseball, but he's so legendary for so many calls. Just, you know, your thoughts on the passing of this icon.
Well, you know, and we lost the great Bill Russell as well, and you know, Coach Del Rio was talking about it to the defense, talking about this is an iconic man who passed, you know, who represented what the best of team was. You know, Vin Scully was an iconic announcer that painted a tremendous picture. When you listen to his calls and the way he described things, that's what sports is about, is to have somebody that come here and paint that picture so that you can envision it, especially on radio, or especially in print when you're reading it. You're not seeing it actually happen, but you're listening to it or you're reading it. And if you can envision it, then they've done their job, and Vin Scully did that tremendously.
Can you just speak on having the Spirit here today?
Oh, that was really cool. That's one of the things that, like I told you guys that we want to do is we want to be able to support the local teams, the local organizations, and to, have them come by. That's really cool. And, talking to our guys, tell them, hey, this is a group of young ladies that went out last year and won a championship. And, I think it's pretty cool to have them come out and check us out. We got a lot of guys, a lot of girl dads, and several of them were very interested in, and apparently I think they're playing here this week or next week up here and real close to us. I think, some of our guys may be taking their daughters to this game.
Anything else?
All right, cool. Thank you, guys.
That was just me just joking around.
Okay, you sold it really well then.
Appreciate that.
In terms of your film study, it seems like something you're renowned for. When did you first become a guy who really focuses on that as a way to improve your play on the field?
Probably when I got to Virginia Tech with Coach Gray. It was just part of the game, part of being a DB, part of what it meant and what it took to be successful on the field. So that's just something I always kind of took with me.
And nowadays, when you study film, kind of what's your setup? Do you have like a chair you go to? Do you have a drink of something? Do you like to have a certain room? What's your routine?
I usually come in here on a Tuesday morning and get most of my film done, and just like one of the rooms inside the facility. So Tuesday morning is when I like to get most of it done, and you still watch film at home during the week, in the facility during the week. But I try to come in Tuesday and just get a head start and a jump on the next opponent.
Ron's talked a lot about a continuity on defense and a lot of guys being back. How good do you think you guys can be as a unit this season?
I mean, as good as we want to be. That's why we're here. That's why we were all here during OTAs, just working together, trying to get better each and every day. And that's what we're doing every day out here. Just we've been talking about taking pride in not making the same mistakes twice, and coming out here and each day just getting better. So that's up to us. That's up to how hard we work, how hard we make each day count when we're out here. So that's something that we're working towards every day.
Obviously, you would have liked last year to go a little bit better results-wise, but is it a benefit now to kind of have a little bit of that humbling experience of last year and the big expectations and all that, and having kind of to learn from what happened last season? Is there a benefit to that?
I think so. I think I'm just the type to where, every year you're going to go through ups and downs. Every year is going to have its own challenges. We can have a good year this year, but that doesn't mean we're not going to have some down times where we're going to have to, fight ourselves out of the hole. And that just comes with football. That's a part of the game, and that's why you love it. That's why you respect it so much, because each and every year, I don't care what team you are, what player you are, you're going to have times to where you got to dig yourself out of the hole. And, we can have a good year this year, but that don't mean that we won't have times where we'll have to dig ourselves out of a hole and stuff like that. But, we work hard now to try to keep yourself out of a hole, but it's just the nature of the business. So that's something that we're just preparing ourselves for now.
With Benjamin St. Juste switching to slot cornerback, that's a position you've played. Just kind of how do you see him picking that up? And are there things that he has to kind of be aware of, with that role specifically after playing the outside for so long?
I think he's doing good, man. And I think one thing that you see on tape is just him using his strengths. You know what I mean? Him getting his hands on guys, using his long arms, his big frame. I think that's one thing that a lot of people are going to be caught off guard against, because you see a lot of guys in the slot that are smaller, quick guys, and to have somebody like Juice they probably never really get, a guy that's quick, a guy that's big, physical, and stuff like that, is definitely going to be a good change-up. And, he's learning more and more every day. But he's been doing a great job out here, man, just playing sticky coverage, using his strengths and, kind of just going out there and making plays for us. And it's something that all of us throughout the week, he's going to be helping us. We're going to be helping him. Safeties talk to him a lot. Corners talk to him a lot. So, it's something that we all take on as a group.
You've played slot cornerback in a variety of different schemes. Is there something about this one specifically that either differs or that he kind of has to be potentially aware of, whether it's using your hands, the vision, or anything like that?
Not really. You know, I think once you get around the game, you know, it's all kind of the same. A lot of times it's just different terminology or just like certain play calls or coverages that are ran more than others. But I think once you get around the game all enough, it's all pretty much the same.
You got to go against Jahan Dotson in the spring. Obviously, you're going to see him out here too. What has been your impression of him and his progression from then to now?
I mean, he's just a pro, man. Ever since day one, he just carries himself like a pro. He's confident. He wants to learn. You know, he knows his abilities. He knows he can go out there and make plays. That's going to be something that we need him to do. But, you know, you can just see each day he's steady. You know what I mean? People talked a lot about Ryan Kerrigan being steady, always being there, always being a pro. And, you know, just from a young guy, you can see that starting off early from him. He's a pro. He's coming out here to work every day, doesn't complain, you know what I mean? He just comes and work. You know, he brings his lunch pail to work. So it's something that's been good for us.
He also has, like, I guess, a plan when he runs his routes. And I remember there were a couple plays he had against you in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a little bit more, I don't want to make too much of it, but is he more advanced in that area than a lot of rookies would be?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I haven't been going against him too much in camp, but definitely in the spring a lot. Definitely, like I said, for him to do what he did in that spring, to run a route one way the day before and then kind of get that same look and be able to have a counter off of it, that's big. That's a vet move. That's what pros do. And, you know, you definitely don't see a lot of rookies do that. I'm not going to say none, but you definitely don't. That's not common. So, you know, that's something big, and I'm sure that's something that he's going to use throughout the season.
Kendall, you mentioned not making the same mistake twice, and you had mentioned that last week too. Can you think of any examples of mistakes that maybe you saw made last week, like earlier, that have already been eliminated now?
I mean, I think for me, a coverage that we were in, Terry kind of got behind me on a post ball that Carson overthrew, and me kind of just understanding and learning, you know, what things I can play for and what things I can't play for, to where I think this week already, I think I got 2 post balls that I was in better shape on and things like that. So I think just like understanding the coverages, learning things that, like, okay, we're not going to give up this. We don't want to give up anything, but like certain routes we're not going to give up. Certain routes is like we're going to work hard to make sure they don't make it, but this is kind of the weakness of the defense. So for me, that's something little that I can think of, but you kind of see it all over the tape.
Do you enjoy being a resource to the younger guys? Derek Ford's taught you the playbook, and since that you're so many leagues on, what's that been like for you?
It's been fun, man. And I think it's something that the whole group has been taking pride of. Everybody being able to learn from each other, ask each other different questions and things like that. But I love it, man, because it's all about us learning the game. The more you learn the game, the more you understand the game. That's when it slows down. It gets slower. You're able to go out there and make plays. So, you know, if all of us are out there understanding the game, seeing what's going on, and the game is slow for all of us, we'll play fast as a group, and it'll help us to make plays on Sundays.
Yep. Yeah, Carson, he's a great guy. First off, you know, he talks to me a lot about stuff outside of football, so I think we kind of built a little bit of a chemistry, you know, off the field, and I think it's translated to on the field really well. He's somebody that he's going to remember every single play and then talk to you about it afterwards, tell you how he wants it ran, so I think that's really helped me out so far.
What are some of the things you're kind of bonding off?
We both are represented by the same agent, actually, so that's kind of how I met him originally. And then we spent some time together down in California, working out a couple days. So it was cool to hang out with him off the field and get in with some of the other guys, too.
And there was a period, I think it was like before period 5, you guys were just kind of chatting over there. Do you recall what that was about, or were you just doing the...
Oh, I can't remember right now, but I mean, I'm sure it was just something we were just messing around about. You know, he's a pretty jokester, so it's a good thing to be around him.
Cole, how do you feel you're doing so far in this camp? Now that's in week 2, how do you feel you've progressed? Things have the offense come a little bit easier to you? Just assess your performance so far.
I think I've done okay. You know, I've done pretty well with not making too many mental errors. You know, that was my main goal. Coming from such a simple offense I had in college to this was I really wanted to focus on understanding the playbook and doing my assignment right every time. I still think there's a lot of room for improvement, but luckily I've had a lot of guys who have helped me out, like Logan Thomas and John Bates and Samus and Alex as well. They've all taken me under their wing a little bit and helped me out. So I've been lucky to have those group of guys around me.
Spoke on Logan, but how helpful has he been since you've gotten here, and how how much of a resource has he been during camp?
Yeah, Logan, he's always around, even in, he comes over and watches all the team periods. So it's awesome having a guy like him. He's somebody who's like another coach out there since he's going on, I think, his ninth or 10th year. So he's been successful in this league for a long time, and he's somebody I look up to and want to have a career like. So I appreciate him helping me out every time he gets a chance.
Cole, you obviously come from a receiver background, and you've flashed throughout camp, like pass catching, but how's blocking been? How have you been picking up that?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time during OTAs, and so did Armani and Curtis. We spent a lot of time with Coach Castile, extra time watching film, working on just the basics of blocking. So I think, it's something that it's a little different blocking at this level, versus the guys are a little bigger, but at the end of the day, technique will save you. So as long as we keep working hard and keep working on our technique, I think it'll only keep getting better.
With blocking, what's been the hardest part of it to pick up?
I would just say always taking the right footwork, because every single play, when you get to this level, we have every single zone scheme, almost every single gap scheme in. So remembering which footwork to take on which play, which guy you're going to, that's the hardest part. But once you get past that, you can start playing fast, and blocking, half of it's just the mentality of wanting to do it and wanting to be good at it. So I think that every single person in our room has that, and they have fight, so that's half the battle.
You mentioned learning the playbook. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, learning the playbook, it's a bit of sometimes it can be struggle and frustrating, but you just have to study it just like it's a test every single day. Every single day is an audition, and they're installing new stuff every single day. But if you stay after and you work hard, and you got to find what works for you. I like to come in after and rewrite the plays on the board. So that's really helped me out.
How did you kind of develop that approach? Was it some trial and error, or how do you find what works for you?
Yeah, I think it started off in college. Kind of learning schemes and concepts, because at the end of the day, every play is some sort of scheme, so just kind of understanding which one's which. And then, from there, I kind of found that out through when I went to the Senior Bowl in January, because I was learning, there they only give you 1 week to learn a whole playbook, and they don't give it to you any in advance. So I kind of understood the time crunch once that was, so that kind of gave me a taste of what it was going to be like here.
Some of your teammates have just talked about the days where, sometimes the offense gets the best of the defense and sometimes it's the reverse. What are the different takeaways from those two different types of days for you?
I think when you walk into the team meeting room, when the whole offense meets, you can kind of tell, everyone wants, when you get beat one day, you want to come out a little harder the next day, and, vice versa. But when you win, you want to bring the same intensity the next day, and that's the hardest part, So I think, it's supposed to be that way, the offense going back and forth from the defense. I think that shows that we're a balanced team.
On your vertical routes down the field?
I think it helps because I kind of present a bigger target for Carson, so it's kind of hard to miss me sometimes when I'm running out there. So that's what he tells me, at least. So I think that's what helps.
And what about when making contact? It seems like maybe it gives you a little bit of an edge there too, at all? Or?
Yeah, I think you can kind of put the ball in places where only I can go get it. So I think that's where it kind of helps me out. Obviously the high balls, but even out in front and behind me, I think there's a lot of balls I can get to that might be challenging for somebody else.
And with John Bates, you can't control injuries, but do you think you're seeing more reps because of that, or how has the additional reps kind of helped you maybe speed up this process?
The additional reps have helped me out for sure to get a better grasp. The easiest way of learning something is by doing it. So, John, he's going through his stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to do whatever they ask me to do and be prepared for it. So. Thank
you. It's one of those things too, and we can't forget that, coverage and rush all go hand in hand. If one element of it is really being successful, it'll help the other. And so we've just got to be consistent, in all the phases of our defense, whether it's pass rush, underneath coverage, or over the top coverage.
We've asked you a lot about Montez Sweat, but what have you seen from guys like James Smith-Williams and Casey Hill that are coming kind of more into their own?
James is more of a six technique type player. He's got a good body, good physical stout player. He's going to get a little bit more push, more so than he's going to get more of the finesse on the outside on the edge. Casey has been a true physical, try-hard guy that gets upfield, relies on his initial quickness, and then goes from there. F.A. Obata is a very by the numbers guy. I mean, he's learned the game. He's still learning the game, to be honest with you, but he's got some good natural skill sets that really fit well for a pass rusher. He's just got to learn to continue to develop who he is as a pass rusher. Bradley King has been really he's been very interesting to watch. He's done some really good things. He's got a little bit to him. He's got heavy hands. He does a nice job on the edge. If he can get his pad level down, I think he'll win even more. Probably the guy that gives you a little bit something as a situational pass rusher is Shaka Toney. He's a guy that's got great anticipation, gets off the ball, has a nice dip, and can lean and make that turn on the edge. He's a guy that's intriguing for us, a guy that we're watching and paying attention to. So just really like what he's bringing to the table.
When last year we asked you about, are you going to bring in a veteran pass rusher, you wanted to see that youth. Do you think it's paid off?
Yep.
Yeah.
I do, because I think they've had to play a lot. And that's one of the nice things about when you're able to keep giving young guys opportunities and putting them out there, is that they're going to play. If you look at the transition that this roster's gone through in terms of the age, you notice it's a young group of guys, but those guys have played a lot of football already. And so they're learning how to play the game because they've been on the field and exposed to being on the field. As I talked about last year, my big concern last year was just maturity. I think we're where we need to be in the sense of that. Now it's just continuing to grow and develop.
Ron, with Cole Turner, we've seen him flash as a pass catcher, but blocking, where have you seen him grow the most, and where do you think he can improve the most in that aspect? I think understanding, what it means for him when we talk about leverage, knowing that, hey, the runner's going this way, I got to make sure I'm positioned in this spot. It's when he's coming around an edge, that the tighter I stay to the offensive line, the better angle I'm going to create for myself. Understanding those angles to cut guys off with. Hand placement, I think he can improve a lot on. Body posture in terms of bending at the knees, bending at the hips, so that I am explosive when I go to block. And probably like I said, the biggest thing really is just understanding his hand placements and where to put his hands on people, and again, how to create that leverage.
The other day had some very kind words for you just in terms of what you've meant for him off the field. Obviously, he's got quite the story. How have you seen him grow in that regard over the 6 years you guys have been together? When
I first had him, he was very anxious. He wanted to get out and continue to do things, and I think it got him to where he wasn't focusing on just learning. Hey, this is what you've got to learn. This is what you got to understand and take it to the next level. And now you see that he has worked on specific things, and he's gotten better and better on those things. Whether it's understanding the significance of, get off with leverage, hand placement, and then having the counter ready to go, or the feel is, hey, I've got this angle, I just got to keep pushing it. Sometimes he'd start up field and come underneath way too soon. Now he's got to understand that he looks like he's understood that once I get to a specific level, I can work back underneath. I mean, those are the little things that weren't innate for him. He didn't have that true understanding because, again, he was just developing as a guy.
Yeah, with him and Bada, I mean, you got two international guys there. Is
Yep.
there a benefit to the whole roster and to team chemistry to have guys with stories like that and backgrounds like that?
Yeah, because I think for our guys, not being an international player, you have a little more appreciation for guys that come in and just see what they've had to go through, how hard they've had to work. The international players have a different flair about them in terms of their work ethic. There's not a lot of bad habits. So you're trying to create good habits for them, trying to get them to understand exactly what it takes to be successful. One thing I will say, and we're very fortunate because the three international guys we have, and I'm throwing Samus in that mix, are all three tremendous athletes. They really are. And we're very fortunate to have those guys. One of the benefits of having an international player like a guy like David, who's still in the learning process, is that he's here, he's a practice squad guy, he's a bonus guy, it doesn't count against our numbers. And so you have time to watch him develop and grow. Usually it's a 2.5 year process before you see it, in my opinion, if the guy has a chance, and David's getting real close to that spot.
One more. You brought Roy Ellison into the huddle, I think.
Yes.
Anything in
yes.
particular?
Well, no. The big reason we did was because the referees are here, and I've stressed to the coaches and the players, they're here, so let's make sure we take advantage of the opportunity to ask questions, point out things. We did this is a recovery day for us. We did an hour walkthrough, and then what's going to happen? The players will be going through the recovery with the training staff. We brought in massage therapists. We brought in our chiropractor, and some other extra trainers to come in and do some extra work on the guys' legs and backs, muscles, all that type of stuff. But what we did this morning is we had the referees here. One of the things that they did is they just kind of went through the motions on special teams with our guys. We did a 2-minute drill, and we had before we got started with the referees, explain to the guys that hey, they're gonna to go do their mechanics. When we complete a ball, receivers, you take the ball to the umpire. Make sure you know who the umpire is. So we introduced Roy before we got started, so they knew who they were looking for, and then they would run the ball to Roy. I said, don't put the ball on the ground because the ball might have to go to another hash. Just take it straight to him. And then what happened was when we were going through the process, and this happened in the games, when he went to put the ball down, the offensive line got tight because we were going to spike it. Well, to spike it, you want that tightness so the guys don't fire off into the quarterback. You close up, so now the referee's got to fight. The umpire's got to fight his way through. Roy pointed that out, that happened in the game when one particular team bumped him and knocked him over, where he had to struggle to get through, get up, and then you can't snap the ball till he gets past the quarterback going back to his position, because if you do, that's a penalty, and it's a 10-second runoff. Well, he explained all that stuff to our guys, that this is what happened. Fortunate enough, we had enough time that he was able to get through it, and we were able to spike it, and we had enough. I think it was like 10 or 11 seconds left. We said we had enough for 2 plays. But again, if we do what we do, he gets bumped, and then we snap the ball while he's still in the mix. That's a penalty. It's a 10-second runoff. We would have only had 1 second left to try and make a play. So that's why he was here. We're going to have the referees in our different position groups. We'll have the umpire and the back judge hopefully explaining what they're looking for in holding. We'll have the side judges explaining to them what they're looking for in coverage for offensive pass interference, defensive pass interference, all those little types of things. So it's a good opportunity for us to learn from the referees.
Take 2 more.
Along those lines, do you show them the video of some of those plays that he was talking about, and just to highlight what you're talking about?
That will come up in this afternoon's meeting at 4:30. What we did do today was we did, one of the things that we're doing with our analytics guys is we're looking at trends, what people are doing, different things, and so we're sharing that with our players. This morning we went through one of the scenarios that we're seeing throughout the league, and we just kind of pointed out to our guys, hey, this is some things that you've got to be aware of. It's going to impact both offense, defense, and special teams.
And then with Antonio, and I know there's, it's different in the games and all that, but are you seeing some of the lowering the shoulder that you want to see consistently as he goes through the hole even now?
Well, I would say, yeah, his posture going through is, in terms of understanding that, hey, when I make my read and I go ahead and plant, I got to lower my pads, protect myself, get my shoulders over my legs so that, guys trying to tackle me, I can protect him, using my forearms and stuff like that. You see those things, and he's much more comfortable in doing it, and it's been kind of nice to watch him. It's interesting because when you watch Brian run, then you watch him run, and then you watch JD running, there are differences in their styles. Another name in it, Jonathan Williams. He's done a really nice job. Reggie Bonifant has shown something. I mean, we've got, I think, as good a group of backs here with us right now that we've ever had.
With regards to Brian Robinson, how do you, with the way his running style, how do you judge him in camp where the run game is different, obviously, than it would be normally, and how has the pads changed your view of him the last few days?
Well, that's one of the exciting things about it is things do change when you have pads on. We feel better about what we're seeing from the offensive line. And that's big. I mean, because when we're just in helmet and shells, because they basically have to catch guys. They're getting pushed back into the quarterback, and it makes it tough on them. It makes it tough on the quarterback, and so now with the pads on, you see that they're stout. They can hold the point. They can be a little more physical with their contact, stuff like that. But as you watch and you look at Brian, you see that with the pads on. You see the way he hits the holes. You do see a little bit more lean, which is big. I mean, it's going to be exciting, tomorrow and then Saturday, because they're going to be 2 padded days, and then we'll go into another day off on Sunday. But there'll be padded days. And the really neat thing is, the energy level will go up at FedEx. It really will. I'm excited because, from what I understand, we should have a pretty good turnout of fans there. And it'll be good for our guys. It'll ramp some things up. We're going to do some live periods and try and get, some of that excitement going for our players. I mean, we want to be able to make some contact. We want to be able to get these guys prepared to tackle going into the first preseason game. And that's what I'm looking forward to as far as this weekend's concerned with both Friday and Saturday's practice.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All righty, cool. Thank you, guys. Oh shit! You guys missed your time. It was during
Just injuries and all the other stuff. Where do you feel you're at coming into this season and right now?
I'm in a great space. Like I said, I want to win. I want to help everyone around me be great and just keep on moving forward.
To the point of you getting just more confidence, we hear you often out there talking some trash to some of the other guys. Is that part of the confidence that you continue to get at this level?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
We hear you out there talking to the other guys on the field. Like, is that the fact you're clearly one of the more vocal guys out there? Is that part of just you being just even more confident with yourself out there? I
think football is a vocal game. I think everybody needs to be on the same page as far as communication, as pre-snap reads, and noticing the strength and things like that. So, yeah, everybody has to be vocal.
And obviously, we know Chase is going to be out for a little while longer. Do you kind of look at for you that takes even like more burden, more pressure on you to really stand out with the pass rush?
Not at all. I just think like football it's 11 people out there on one side of the ball. Everybody has to do their job for the train to keep on going.
What do you tell Chase about keeping his head up? Obviously, that's tough to know you're not going to be able to participate here.
I mean, Chase is a pretty strong-minded guy, strong mentally guy. I mean, he actually gives me probably more advice than I give him. So he's good.
When you say he's good, like, is he engaged with you guys every day? Like, what we don't get a chance to see him obviously, but what's he like inside the building these days?
Yeah, he's with us every day. He's at every meeting, at every walkthrough. I mean, he's a leader for us. So that's it. That's his role for us, and he's gonna keep on doing that.
You had a baby this off season. How much do you think that has changed you? How has fatherhood changed you?
Oh man, this baby Shiloh, it's changed me a lot actually. I mean, it gives you a new perspective on life. You actually living for something, and you want to be a role model for him and just everything you do. So yeah, it's a blessing.
Surprised you anyway?
I mean, of course, it's when it first comes around, it's overwhelming. Maybe not so much for me, but for other people, the family, the village. So I mean, it's great though. It's a blessing.
Has that affected how you've had to go about this camp at all, or anything like that? Just.
I mean, it definitely gives me a little bit more motivation. But I mean, within myself, I want to be great. So, yeah.
How do you look back at your season even before the injuries and everything that happened kind of later in the year? Just how did you feel like your play was?
I'm not good enough, so I just want to keep on improving and just being a better me.
Is there something that you've taken from that season and kind of applied it in terms of, have you noticed like a growth in your game?
I mean, I want to get better every day. I feel like I'm getting better every day, noticing new tools, noticing new things that the offensive way they want to attack and stuff like that. So, I mean, everybody should look to get better each and every day.
What have you seen from the other pass rushers so far throughout camp that stood out to you?
We got some great tools. I like F.A. He's a longer guy. I mean, he has some great pass rush tools. Who else? It's a lot of guys across the line. Shaka, BK is step up his game a lot. It's a lot of guys. Boomy. We got a lot of guys that want to get better every day, and we moving in that direction.
With FA and David Body, you got two international guys, two guys with pretty good stories. What's it like to have them be a part of the group?
Man, it gives a different flavor to the D-line room. I mean, FA's from London, but he's Nigerian, so he has that London accent, but he has that African, and Bada being Ghana, but from Germany. He gives a different perspective too. So I mean, it's great. I mean, you hear the different accents and the different way they go about life, and a different way they apply those things to life. So it's great, and it makes me broaden my horizon. It's just like it's a lot of cultures and all that type of stuff out there.
You've had to go up against some of those young tight ends, Hodges, Cole Turner and all that when they're in the blocking role. How have they progressed as blockers, and how have you, I've seen you talk to them a little bit, what kind of wisdom or advice have you given to them or anything? Yeah, they getting better every day, and I feel it. And I feel like it's my job to do that, to get them ready for when we do get really rolling. So I mean, I like to give those guys tips and stuff that actually veteran tight ends have used on me in blocking schemes and stuff like that. So I get that knowledge off because I know they're going to be able to use it moving forward.
Thanks, Montez. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
We got a great mix of veteran guys, young guys, tough guys, athletic guys, smart guys. I mean, it's a really good offensive line room we got here.
And obviously, new left guard for you this year. How is that chemistry going? And is there anything you and Andrew can do together to build even more chemistry just beyond practices?
Yeah, I mean, Andrew was playing for 9 years, so same like me. So, I mean, it didn't take much for us to get going. He's been in the league a while, same with I, and we kind of just know how each other roll. And I love his game, and I appreciate somebody who, I really don't have to coach him up on much. We can just go out there and play ball.
How quickly could you see that it was going to be like that?
Honestly, from like week one of OTAs, right when we got on the field, I was like, oh, okay, we got it. Because he has already been in the system, and I've been in the system since last year, so it was good.
And I know, like, you're in front of Carson Wentz, but what have you seen from him throughout camp, and what have you learned about him during this camp?
What I've seen from him since camp, just a guy who just goes out there and works. I mean, that's all I can ask for. That's all you can appreciate. Somebody who, just goes out there and works, continue to work hard. He definitely has a really, really good arm. Like, you can see it. You can see the live arm that comes off the ball. It, like, definitely zips out. And just a guy who's always communicating, always checking in with the offensive line, see what we like. You see him talking to Scotty. You see him just all around. What's up, Bates? How you doing, man? You just see him all around, just communicating, constant communication, talking to receivers and stuff like that.
I feel like holding's always one of the more contentious penalties. While the refs are here at camp, is there anything you're trying to learn or engage with them on? Yeah,
how can I get away with more of those? Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm just, the refs are, they're part of the game. They actually are fans of the game too. I know talking to this crew out and play, they refed our game, some of my games many a times, and you get to build a rapport with them, and you talk to them over years, and it's really cool seeing them here.
As a vet and who's now, well versed in the system, what do you try to get out of training camp?
Just continue to get better. It's always things that you can work on. Whether you're year 9, year 1, year 99, depending on who you are. This is a game where it's hyper competitive. It's always somebody that's going to push you to get better. And my main self to push me is myself to get better. I'm always seeking, ways I can improve and help our football team win games and win a championship.
Along those lines, how do you like going against the defensive line during camp? And I mean, it's a pretty solid group, it seems like.
Oh yeah, definitely. Coach Sam, he teaches the defensive line. Coach Sam, he does a really good job getting those guys off the ball. And missing Chase right now, it is clearly hurts, but hopefully he gets back sooner than later. But our defensive line, first rounders almost all over. I don't want to say every position on that forward defensive line, and it's just really fun going against those guys. You got Montez that talks too much. And, you got guys like John, who's just all about work, and Payne, who's all about work. And it's just fun going against those guys. I love the lively battles that we have.
By the numbers, holding is, down across the league.
quite significantly over the last 2 years. I'm not saying that like affects how you play, but have you noticed that?
No, I haven't actually. I didn't know that. Yeah, it doesn't affect how I play. I don't. That's not something I try to do. But it is part of the game. You know what I mean? Like that happens, and it's one of those not good fouls that you want to get. But our coach does a good job of not teaching that. So that's maybe coaches are getting better at not teaching holding. I don't know if that's the trend, but it shouldn't be. It should be called. It should be called the way it is right now, less often than not, because we don't hold. We're offensive linemen, right?
And you were talking about Montez. I know he talks maybe a little too much, but the other day after there was, I think, a one-on-one drill, or you and him were talking about, it looked like he was mentioning an up and under or something like that, and you guys were going back and forth. Kind of, what was that conversation about, and kind of how do you help each other out like that?
Montez talks so much, I don't even know what that conversation is, to be honest with you. I don't know. It's always something with him, but he's just a ball of energy out there, and I love going against him, and I love having him on the field because he's somebody that definitely just brings a lot of energy, and that's what you need when you got days where it's 90-something degrees out at practice and it's hot. You need somebody to keep the energy going.
What has it been like to block for Brian Robinson, and how does this size kind of affect?
It's been good. I mean, I can tell, he's just a really good natural running back, and it's been good. He just understands, patience and lanes and, where to hit it and creases and things like that. And like you said, he's a big guy, so getting his pads vertical, when he gets his pads vertical, he's going to be really tough to stop.
And then with Carson, it seems like he's a little bit more in the pocket than Taylor was last year, and he holds the ball longer. How does that kind of affect what you guys do up front, or does it, or anything like that?
I wouldn't say it affects us that much. We just know that you got a guy that's more in the pocket, if that's what you notice. I mean, still got to do our job. Our job doesn't change. We still got to block for him, and sometimes you just got to block longer than, some plays than other.
With Montez, have you noticed a difference in his play, not just how much he's been talking?
Yeah. No, he's definitely I can see it thinking about practice yesterday. He's definitely starting to work with more moves, and that's really good. Being a guy who's, however tall he is and be able to run 4.4, you just don't want to be a one-trick pony. You want to be able to work different moves, work power moves, work finesse moves, and things like that, inside out. And he's been doing a good job of that. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Coach, open up with a quick statement.
Hey, just real quick, Trey Walker, one of our rookie linebackers, decided he was going to move on from football, so that's why he wasn't out there today. Trey's a solid young man, guy we had some hopes for, but unfortunately, he just decided it was time to move on. So we want to wish him all the best.
What was that conversation like, and did he just say what he was going to move on to?
No, it was a very simple conversation. He said, something I've been thinking about. There's some things that he wanted to get back to, and so he decided it was time to move on.
Does that prompt you to maybe look harder at your linebacker position than you did before?
Well, it's going to prompt us to obviously look at it. He's a young guy that we did like. We thought he had some ability. A really good tape coming out of Idaho, and it's it's unfortunate, but it's if the young man has something else he wants to do, then he's going to go on and do it.
Especially after AGG, have you ever had two guys leave before in a camp?
Oh yeah, okay. It happens. It really does happen.
Coach Rivera, I saw that on some of the 11-11s that Jamin wasn't out there with the first team, but then later in practice, was that just an instructional thing?
Yeah,
or?
that's just kind of the way some of the defenses are set up. We have a couple of defenses where we have certain elements of it where it's what we consider our big group. Other elements we just have one linebacker on the start. So for the most part, the first guy in is going to be Cole, and so it's just really the group.
Also, I saw Cole Turner got shaken up after a play on the first drills.
Cole Turner's hamstring got tight.
Okay.
That's what happened on that play. That was all about the hamstring.
How much do you enjoy those goal line drill situations, and what did you think of? It looked like the D had a pretty good day in there.
I don't enjoy anything about him. I mean, to me, it's all about the coaching aspect. I really don't. I mean, because, you know, it's one of those things where, again, we don't game plan for each other. And so it doesn't matter what you do or how you do it is the thing that you really care about. You know, are we doing it right? Are we blocking the right people? Are we filling the gaps the way we're supposed to? That's really more so the better part for us is the instructional. Are we learning? Are we getting better?
I think I meant too because it's also a little bit more physical in there too.
Yeah, and that's, you know, and you always worry about that because, you know, that gets amped up, that gets hyped up. You know, the hard part today, we were down at the tight end position. Our you know, for the most part, you know, those guys with some nicks and stuff like that, and Cole came up with a hamstring. Samus came up with a hamstring today as well. So, you know, the guys that you normally would have in there weren't in there.
William get something? Jackson?
He
had an ice pack.
Yeah, well, if he had an ice pack, then he probably had a hamstring.
And not about a timetable, but with Chase Young, when he's right, what does he give this defense, and what does he mean to this defense?
Well, he brings some energy. He's you know, he's an energetic guy. He plays fast. He plays hard, and I think that also, you know, helps his teammates.
With Jahan, how much do you want to see Terry kind of take a mentorship role? I know he kind of serves as a captain for everyone, but maybe, you know, since they are so close together or anything like that.
Well, as far as Jahan's concerned, I just want him to go out and be who he is. You know, there's no expectations on him as far as that type of stuff is concerned. I mean, what you want him to do is go out, learn, grow, and develop, and let those things happen naturally. Let them happen organically. And you know, so we're not going to try and force anything on him. You know, whatever he adapts to and how he assimilates, you know, that'll be him.
How's Cornelius Lucas coming along? You haven't seen him in a minute.
He's coming along well. I think Drew has really come along nicely. You know, he's you know, having Jim Hostler, you know, our offensive senior assistant around has been really good for Drew. You know, Coach Haas has got a tremendous amount of experience, especially in this league, and he's really helped Drew a lot. But you watch Drew take command, take charge. You see him being proactive with a lot of things, and he really has done a nice job in terms of the growth of not just himself, but his unit, his guys. And it's a thing that he has a good relationship with those guys. He works very easily with them. You know, and I think the future is very bright for a young man like him.
Anything else? It's got to be cool, like throwing the other stuff.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Guys starting to learn the offense a lot better, get more comfortable with it. So, you know, I feel like we're doing a good job. Yeah, you know, you got a couple new guys in there, whether it's Carson or Jahan, stuff like that, and you're going to have some days where it's a learning curve. And but again, I think they're doing a great job. I'll let them speak for themselves, but you know, I think it's going pretty smoothly.
Are there like physical differences? But it feels like you and Carson kind of have a similar mentality of pushing the ball down the field and trying to make the plays, you know, as much as possible. Just what do you see from him in that sort of sense? How much does it help? Even though it's a new face, maybe that continuity that could happen.
Yeah, you know, well, this offense is one that we want to push it down the field. You know, we have a lot of weapons and stuff like that. So I think the biggest part is just being smart while doing it. You know, making the smart decision. So when it's there, we take it. If it's not, you know, give it to one of our backs and let them do their thing. So again, we're all still learning. We're all trying to get better. But yeah, you know, Carson and I have a really good relationship, and we try and help each other out there.
Worked quite a bit with Brian Robinson. What have you noticed from his progress, and just kind of what he brings maybe as a different type of back?
Yeah, I mean, there's some times where I hand him off the ball and I just want to watch him run. He's a big dude. You see if I was a corner, I wouldn't want to tackle him. So, you know, I think, you know, he's a big guy. He's going to be tough to bring down, and, you know, I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, what is it? I mean, you know, Gibson's more your standard kind of elusive guy. McKissick is the speedy option. What does it do to have just like another type of back for the room?
Yeah, again, you know, he kind of adds another element in there. And, you know, he's doing great at running routes and catching the ball, too. So I think he's doing a good job and progressing pretty well.
And what have you seen from Sam Howell?
Sam Howell? He can sling it now. You know, I like Sam. He's got a lot of, you know, upside to him, and you know, I'm excited to see what he can do. But you know, he's a good addition to the quarterback room. We have a lot of fun with him, and again, he's getting better every day.
What kind of process do you take in that, or what have you noticed from him, kind of knowing that the role is more or less set?
Yeah, so, you know, I just try and help him out any way I can. I remember being a rookie, and Sean Hill kind of took that approach to me as well, and it helped me out big time. So I'm just trying to be the Sean Hill to him. And again, you know, you see him every day working hard at it and getting better. So it's really cool to see, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the preseason games.
What's it like, you know, you're now the backup quarterback, but every day after practice you walk off the field and there's hundreds of people clamoring for your autograph. What's that like fan support kind of feel like to you?
It's cool. You know, it's I don't know how to explain it. It's pretty cool. You know, it's nice to have people root for you, and I think it all pretty much came from that Tampa Bay pylon dive and that game. So again, you know, I'm just trying to do the best out there and do what I can. But yeah, it's nice to have, you know, a lot of encouragement when I come on and off the field.
Perfect. Thanks for going with these guys. So it's been a lot of fun.
Taylor was just talking about mentoring you. What has your relationship been like with him specifically, seeing as he's a guy who knows this offense pretty well?
Yeah, no, Taylor's been awesome for me. Obviously, he's been in this offense for a long time, and he knows his job. And I'm just very appreciative that, you know, he's willing to help a young guy like me. So we have some really good chemistry in the quarterback room, and both Taylor and Carson are really good players. They've been fun to watch.
Has there been anything about being an NFL quarterback that is added compared to what you had to be in college? Is it more prep? What's the playbook? Is it larger? Like, has there been any sort of step that's been really large for you to take in that regard?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a major step. Obviously, we haven't started getting into games and game prep yet. I'm sure that the preparation is probably a little bit more in the NFL. But practice-wise, I think just preparing for practice is a little bit more. You know, our offense is just a little bit more than college. So I'll definitely say just trying to get more comfortable with the playbook.
Are you looking forward to getting out to FedEx Field tomorrow, first time in an NFL stadium as a player with a uniform on?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm really excited to get out there. You know, I haven't been yet, so it'll be super cool to see our stadium.
You mentioned getting more comfortable with the playbook. How specifically have you gone about doing that?
Yeah, I think it's all about reps, just getting reps and trying to maximize every single rep that I have out there. And even when I'm not in, taking mental reps, and I try to get a mental rep on every single play that we run in practice. So I think it's only going to come with reps and through these preseason games.
Now that it's been a bit, what's it been like building a rapport with the receivers that you've been working with day in and day out now?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have so many talented guys in that room, and they're all really good guys. So it's just a blessing to be out here to come on the practice field with such great players around you. So it's been a lot of fun.
Sam, how do you go about practice? Do you see, can I make this throw? Do you live with the mistake, or do you just follow the reads, the progressions, and say, I have the dump off here in the flat, let me do that, versus let me take this risk now to see what I'm able to do at this level? How do you approach practice each day?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just try to do what I'm coached. You know, the reads and the progressions that I'm coached to do, that's what I try to come out here to do. And in this offense, we have the ability to take a lot of shots, so definitely when those, you know, opportunities come, I definitely try to take advantage of them. But I just try to do what I'm coached and try to execute the offense how Coach Turner wants me to. Cool. Thank you.
That energy, you know, and just trying to get our guys to understand that, you know, how important it is to have the fans out there and how important it is for our fans to be there and bring that energy. And I think the players fed off it. There were some really good things. One thing I hope everybody appreciated was the aggressive nature in which we played today. The way we, you know, ran the ball, the way we threw the ball downfield, things that we were doing on defense in terms of the different coverages we were using and pressures we brought. This is going to be a real good tape for us to evaluate. I'm really pleased with that. You know, and talking to the coaches as practice was going on about the different things that we did. You know, we had a couple of live periods. We changed the tempo up so we could get things going. And then we kind of eased it back down just to make sure we were working on the details. So we got a lot accomplished and very pleased with what we did today.
As you talked about with Curtis, you know, in the plan you guys have, so when you see him out there tonight, what are you looking to see from him to show you that he's on the right path?
Well, a big part of it, you know, is really his route running, you know, the timing. And there was one where he was trying to time out a ball across the middle with with Carson. I don't know if you guys saw it. It came in a little bit high and hot. And he was trying to get that feel for his, for Carson, and I think Carson was trying to get a feel for his timing as he was breaking across the middle. But when you watch him and you watch him get from one zone to the other, and kind of impacting the defenses as he goes through it. I mean, you have to pay attention to his speed and quickness, and it causes certain things to happen with the defenses. And then when you see him with the ball in his hands, just how dynamic he is.
Ron, obviously, you guys have now finished 2 weeks, basically, of camp. We reached a point where it's not early anymore, that you're now expecting more out of these guys as we go forward?
Yes, we are. It's one of those things that, we changed the tempo several times this week as we went through practice. In certain periods, we had as live periods. And when we went live, we were expecting certain things, and we watched it on tape. And if it was good enough, hey, we let them know. If it wasn't good enough, we told them it wasn't acceptable. It's trying to get them to understand that, you always have to be able to practice at a peak level, and that's what we're looking for. Thought a lot of guys did some really good things today, as I said, especially when we had a couple of those live periods going.
Carson had a couple of good throws in the end zone to Curtis and to Terry, but the inaccuracy has still been there, and it's kind of been there, at least from the outside, most of these practices. Where are you what's your sense of his accuracy at this point in camp?
I think it's a lot better than you're giving him credit for, just because of the way things happen in practice. There's a lot of little nuances that we see, that we look at, that we get to review. Yeah, there's some inaccuracies, but it's nothing that we are overly concerned with. Again, we see what's going on. We see how things are developing. We see the timing and just the understanding and feel for what's going on with our concepts. So as we continue to grow and work on it, we just feel like we're going to continue to grow and get better as an offensive unit.
Are you able to give a little bit more context on what happened with Trey Walker with his decision to come back?
Well, other than just the fact that, for the most part, Trey was dealing with some personal issues and stuff like that, and just him talking through with some folks back home and just kind of working through it more so than anything else. And he and I communicating, talking about some of those things. And, as he just realized and recognized that, this is an opportunity, and he's got to take care of other situations, circumstances, but this is also the opportunity that he really wants. And so we had a very nice conversation, very positive. I think the young man's a terrific young man who just had a situation that overwhelmed him. And, he seemed to have settled down and came out and had a good little practice.
And at tight end, you think you're down to 4 guys right
I know,
now?
and that's a concern. We did bring a tight end in to work out today, and we're going to talk about him tomorrow morning. And, we'll have a decision coming.
Kind of stepping back on Carson through 2 weeks of camp, is this what you expected from him, and kind of where are you at big picture?
I see big picture. I see the progression. I mean, again, he's working timing. He's understanding concepts. It's a different offense than what he's played in at his 2 different other stops, and just getting used to the different players. This is a different characteristic in terms of the types of wide receivers he's throwing to. A little different from the ones he's had in the past, and so this just developing that rapport that he needs to have.
What are the biggest schematic adjustments from the offense he's been into the one he's in now?
Well, I think one of the big things, more so than anything else, is terminology, understanding the terminology, and then understanding how the progressions are set. We may go through a progression a different way for them. He may start his read a little bit differently, and those things are different. Now then comes the timing and understanding how the combinations are with the different receivers and who those receivers are. When you have Terry, Jahan, and Curtis and Diami out there, I mean, it's a 4x100 relay team. I mean, those guys can flat out run. Then you put a couple of the bigger guys out there. You put Cam out there with them, and now you got a different set of time. You got a bigger target as well. You include the tight ends; it's a different group. We haven't had all our tight ends out there. We're down to 4, and so there's still a lot of things that still have to work together, and still have to be developed together as we continue to go through this.
With Carson too, it seems like the last period where you guys had the extended 11 play stretch,
right,
seemed like he was able to get into a little bit more rhytm. Just how important is that for him? And I know that's most quarterbacks, but specifically
absolutely, but for him it is, because again, this was again one of the things that you look for when you practice here in your stadium and you have your fans out there, is you want that energy, electricity, and a little bit of sense of I don't want to say game atmosphere, but game atmosphere. He got a rhythm going. Scotty got a nice rhythm going with his play calling. And I think that gives Carson a little bit of a sense what to anticipate once we get into the games. And that's why this preseason game will be really good for not just Carson, but for the entire offensive unit, Scott included, in terms of play calling, getting into a rhythm that suits him very well. And that's what I like about it.
So he'll play next week like Brian did last year?
Oh, yeah, he'll play. Yeah. Definitely play.
And then just real quick, with his pump fakes, what have you kind of noticed from that, and what does that do for you guys as a
I really like it because his motion, and he's so quick with it that he gets himself set and is able to get the ball out. He had 2 really good ones today that both ended up in big throws and catches, and that is something, that when you have guys with that kind of quickness, getting flat and then being able to turn and burst and go vertical, you can lay it out and they'll go get it.
Take 3 more.
With Terry not being there in OTAs and minicamp, have you noticed that him and Carson maybe have a little more room to grow versus him and the other receivers?
Without a doubt. And I'm excited about it because, there have been a couple throws where he's slightly behind Terry a little bit. He's got to get used to how Terry breaks and comes out of his breaks, and that's why he's a little bit behind. I think he's trying to gauge Terry's speed a little bit. So a couple times early on he was a little short. A couple times he was a little bit long. Now it's just continue to work that and get that feel for hitting it right on the button.
When you were addressing the fans, you were a little fired up there. Had a little football coach in you. Do nights like this get you?
It does. It's exciting to me. It really is. I mean, just again, I really do appreciate the fans that came out tonight, and I really appreciate their support and bringing the electricity. There's something exciting about being in your home stadium, and I really I enjoy it.
With Kam Curl, that's the guy you drafted your first year here. Where's the biggest growth you've seen with him from maybe when you drafted him to last year to going to year 3 now?
Wow. I mean, Kam was a guy that came in and already had a good sense of what it took to be a good player in this league. And then last year you really saw his growth and development. You saw how he's learning the nuances of the game. Now, I use the word to describe who I think is a really good player. You see him be a pro. The way he handles his preparation, the way he takes care of himself, the way he prepares for a game, and then the way he practices, and now the way he plays. I mean, he's really just become a solid football player, and there is room for growth for him to be even better.
Last one.
Coach, you talk about the excitement of the crowd, but something meaningful after what you've been through with your cancer battle to be with that young man, and the whole team loving on him. Could you talk about what was going through?
Yeah, what we did today was we had a young man, Josiah. I want to make sure I get the last name right. Desper, D-E-S-P-E-R. Josiah Desper. He's a huge fan. He's a cancer survivor. He's 5 years now since his last treatment, and this was his make-a-wish. He loves football. He loves the defensive line, and shocker, his favorite player is Chase. So what we did was we had a 99 jersey made up for him. We had Chase presented to him in the locker room before practice. And we invited him to come out, be with the defensive line, watch practice, and at the end of the game we had him break down the team. It's kind of neat to be able to give back to the community like that. Especially when we have young people that have gone through so much in such an early part of their life. And it was really cool the way the players responded. I was really proud of our guys for the way they handled the young man.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Alrighty, cool. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Command Report. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest Washington Commanders news.